Hi, I'm Kevin Eikenberry, and I'm here to help you reach your potential as a leader and a human being. Welcome to Remarkable TV and the Remarkable Leadership Podcast. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, I'm glad you're here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes like today. And today, what are we talking about? I'm talking about stop living by default. Are you ready? Let's get started. All right, it's fine for me to tell you to stop doing something, but you're wondering what it means. When I say to stop living by default, what do I mean? Well, what I mean is to stop relying on routine. Relying on your routine this is how I always do things. This is how I go through my life. And there's value in small decisions getting made automatically and without us having to spend our energy and time and attention. And yet nothing ever changes as long as we stay in routine. And living by habit is another way that we live by default. Living by our habit is in a given situation. When someone asks us this kind of question, this is how we respond. When someone comes into our office, if we're a leader, and asks us a question, we give them an answer. This is living by habit. It may not always be serving us, but we're living by default. It's like floating on the waves of life. And if you've ever floated in a pool, if you've ever floated down a lazy river, it's kind of fun and it's kind of easy in the moment, but you're not really getting anywhere. So what should we do instead? If I'm telling you to stop doing something, what should you do instead? So I want you to stop living by default and start operating or living by design. Live by design, not by default. What do I mean by living by design? Number one is to be intentional. It's fine to go with our routines and habits, but be intentional about when they're not serving us. If we continue to do things the way we're doing, we'll continue to get the same results. If we want different results, we need to design something different, make a shift in our habits, make a change to our routines, stop floating. We need to drive towards our goals. Once we know what our goals are, that means what do I need to change in order to move myself in that direction? That's living by design. Design around my goals and my aspirations and what I want to achieve. Ultimately, to live by design means to think. And as useful as habits are, to sometimes be able to operate without thinking. If we want to get better results in the future, we have to stop living by default. We have to stop and think and design what we want to do. And this isn't just for big decisions, like where we're going to go to college or who we're going to marry or if we're going to get married or those kinds of things. It's also about the little ones in our lives, the ones that too often we too quickly relegate to habit, to routine, to floating. So the question is, living by default or living by design, which will get you better results in every area of your life? I think you know the answer. That's why I want you to stop living by default. Let me close with today's tweet. Stop living by default. Instead, live by design. Make conscious, informed decisions rather than simply floating through life. You don't want to float through life. You want to get remarkable results. If you want remarkable results, you should subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter appropriately titled Remarkable Results. You can learn more about that and get it in your LinkedIn every week by going to kevineikenberry.com/remarkable results to subscribe. I hope you'll do that, and I hope you'll be back with me next week for another episode of Remarkable TV and the Remarkable Leadership Podcast.